Hi, Algebra 1. We had done WLF 1 and 2 on Monday and Tuesday of last week. Um, Remember, we are using the equations that look like this. Y equals mx plus b. So if we're given the slope, which is m, and the y-intercept, which is b, remember the y-intercept, if we have a 0 in the x and a number in the y, then we can use that. We also have point slope, which is y equals mx minus x1. So if we're given a point, x1 and y1, and the slope sorry, I had to restart this. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. If we're given a point that we call x1 and y1, and we plug it in, and then we have the slope, we plug it in, and then there was the last way where we have ax plus by. This one we will often get to, but we don't necessarily plug in for it. So I'm going to be on page 175 of your book, 175, and it says at the very top, what is a function? So let's define a few things. We have an input, which are x values. We have an output, which are y values. So if I had a point, say, let's not use that. Let's do 3 comma 7. My input is 3 because that's an x value. My output is 7 because that's a y value. So they have f at x is equal to 3x minus 5. So 3x minus 5, this is functional notation. F at x, g at x. However they have this with an x in parentheses, that's a fancy way of just saying y. It's called function notation. So if I wanted to find f at 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug 2 into our x value and do the math. So 3 times 2 is 6 minus 5, which is 1. This gives me the point. The input is 2, the output is 1. If we had f at 0, we're going to plug 0 in for the x. So I'm going to go 3 times 0, which is 0, minus 5. So 0 minus 5 is negative 5. So this gives me the point 0 comma negative 5, where 0 is the input, negative 5 is the output. Again, we have our equation. I just ran out of space on the last page. I have f at negative 1. I'm going to take negative 1, and I'm going to plug it in for the x. Do the math. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 minus 5, which is negative 8. That gives me the point negative 1 comma negative 8. Now they switch gears a little bit and they say, hey, we want to find, remember, this is the input, this is the output. Now they're going to give me it written like this. So this means they're giving us the output. That means I'm going to replace this with our 10. So I'm going to go 10 equals 3x minus 5. Add 5 to both sides, so I get 15 over here. Divide both sides by 3, so this becomes 5. So this yields me the point, notice, watch, 5 comma 10, because I said this was the output, this is the input. Now they have it set up as a grid, and they have it just set up as y equals. They've gone back to y. We'll flip-flop between x and y, or f at x and y. So this is the input is the x, the output is the y, and they want us to complete this grid. So they have negative 4 here, they have 13 here, they have negative 14 here. So this 13 I'm going to plug in for y. It's an output. Go ahead and solve it. Subtract 4 from both sides. So this is going to give me a 9 equals 3x. Divide both sides by negative 3. So our input is -3. For the middle one, we're going to plug the -4 in for our x. So y equals. So -3 times -4 is +12 plus 4. So y is 16. So there it gave me my output. And then the last one, we're going to be like the first one. We're going to plug -14 in for the y and go ahead and solve it. Subtract 4 from both sides. That gives me a -18 over here. Divide both sides by -3. So negative over negative is positive. So that gives me an input of 6. Now we're going to start getting into some word problems. I'm on the middle of page 175. It said, Bennett and his friends decide to go bowling. The cost for the group is $15 for shoe rentals plus $4 per game. So we're going to say $4 for each game, and then we're going to drop $15. So we have a cost. We're going to use C at X, or in this case, C at G, because my letter or my variable is G on mine. How much will it cost for them to bowl 2 games? So if I go C at 2, this answers the first question, letter A. So I'm going to go 4 times 2 plus 15, which is 8 plus 15. Add those together. So if they bowl 2 games, it's going to cost $23. Excuse me. This is the answer for letter B. And then if we want to graph the equation, this is my y-intercept at 15. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's way up here. And then I'm going to go up 4 because my slope is 4, which is 4 over 1. So I'm going to go up 4, right 1. And this is how our graph would look. Okay. Notice on your grid, though, you might want to count by 2s each of them. And then use the graph to estimate the number of games they could bowl for $30. Well, that's kind of hard. So $30 is going to be the C at G. So let's not use the graph. Let's just solve this. So subtract 15 from both sides. Divide both sides by 4. So each game is 4 goes into 15. If I, on my calculator, I go 15 divided by 4. 15 divided by 4 on a calculator comes out to $3.75. So each game costs $3.75. Oh, actually, it doesn't cost $3.75. They bowled 3.75 games, so it looks like maybe they didn't get done with the game, I guess. Okay, turn over to page 176, and I'll read the problems. It says Lexi had her car towed when it broke down. The cost per mile was $3 per mile, plus a flat rate of $50. So we're going to go C at M because our variable in the equation is M, so the cost. That's our equation. Write the equation, so this is the answer to letter A. Letter B, they want, what happens if we had to go $12? So they had P at 12. I'm going to C at 12, which is going to be the same. So we're plugging 12 in. 3 times 12 is 36 plus 50. So it's going to cost her $86 to go have her car towed 12 miles. Determine the output function when the input is 100. So the input, so C at 100, this means they want to tow it 100 miles. That's a long tow. So 3 times 100 is 300 plus 50. So they're going to cost $350 to tow the car. That's the answer to letter C. Letter D, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept of our function is 50, or 0, 50. So this means to pick up car and go 0 miles costs $50. So just to call the tow company to come get your car. Interpret the slope. The slope of our problem is going to be 3. And I'm going to make that 3 over 1. So it's going to cost $3 for each 1 mile towed. And that is the answer for E. And then the last one says, or the letter F says, well, what if she went 400 miles? So we're going to make the 400 over here. So I'm going to subtract 50. So this becomes 350 and then equals 3m. Divide both sides by 3. So you go 350 divided by 3. So that's going to be 116.7 miles. And then the last one I'm going to squeeze in here in the middle. Or actually, I'll extend the page. For letter G, a customer claims they were overcharged. They were charged $149 for going 33 miles. So what I can do is, I know my equation was C at M equals 3m plus 50. So I'm going to take the 33 and plug it in there. So 3 times 33 plus 50, which is 99 plus 50. If I add 99 and 50, that comes out to 149. They said they were charged 149. They were not overcharged. Your homework assignment is going to be page 177 and 178. We're going to do all of them. Problem number 1, I will read it, and so you might have to go back to this and work it out. It says you set up a business making metal bracelets for a cost of $175 of the materials and tools. It also costs $10 for each bracelet you make. So $10 for each bracelet, call that B, and then $175 for setup. So C of B equals, that's our equation. Write the function, that's the answer to number 1. Number 2, determine C at 50. So plug 50 in for B. Number 3, figure out C at 75. So plug 75 in for B. Determine the output when the input is 100. So we're going to do number 4 is going to be C at 100. And interpret both the input and the output of the problem. So 100 bracelets is your input. And then whatever your answer is, once you plug that into your above equation here, would be the cost to make 100 bracelets total. And then interpret the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 175, which makes 0 bracelets, still cost you $175 to get your stuff. That's the y-intercept. The slope is it's going to cost you $10 for every 1 bracelet you make. And then determine for number, this is number 6. I just read you number 5, 1375. So what you're going to do is you're going to put 1375 in for C at B. So solve this for B. On page 178, it says a climber is scaling a 350-foot cliff at a constant rate. The climber starts at the bottom of the cliff, so they're climbing a mountain. Okay, the total height of this mountain is 350 feet. Okay, so they're climbing at 45 minutes. They did 90 feet. So you can reduce 45 over 90 to 1 over 2. So for every 1 minute, they climb 2 feet. And then, so that's like the answer number 8. Number 9, how long will it take to reach the top of the cliff? So it's a 350-foot cliff. 1/2 x. Or 1/2 plus 350. Sorry, this should have been like y. So solve that for x. So there's what you can do is you're going to make that become 0. And you can go ahead and solve it. It'll be a negative answer, but that's okay. It's just the time. For 10, 11, and 12, you should be able to do those. For 13, it says put the slopes of the equations in order. So you have those three equations. So you have a slope of 0.7, you have a slope of 2 over 3, you have a slope of -2, and you have a slope of -7 over 2. The best thing to do is either make these all decimals. So 0.7 is fine. 2/3 is 0.67, -2, -7 over 2 is -3.5. Put those in order from the least to the greatest. Calculate g at 9. So if you want g at 9, use the g at x function, plug it in for 9, or x in for 9, 9 in for x. And then f at 8 for number 15, use the f at x equation for the f at 8. And then have a nice day.